Right, today I'm going to be reviewing Jeff Nippards' new video, which is his perfect chest workout for muscle growth. I'm sure there are things that I disagree with, things that I will agree with, but with that being said, let's get into it.
A max effort set of 3 to 5 reps on the bench press. Now, obviously, before that heavy working set, we'll want to do a full warm-up pyramid to get the blood flowing and prepare ourselves mentally for that heavy load to come on the top set. And I'll put my full warm-up protocol here if you want to pause and read.
Yeah, the first exercise is a barbell press. I mean, it's a fine exercise. You can use it, progress on it. It's perfectly fine. I think just to be a bit harsh, based on the title of his video, if he said anything else like strength and size, I would perfectly be fine with it. I just believe that there's better options purely for muscle growth. For a machine press, I would prefer more stable movements that don't require such a skill aspect for most people, but it's fine. I'll move on.
25% of what you used for your heavy top set. So if you did 295 pounds for your top set, you do about 225 pounds for your Larsen press. Now, the Larsen press is basically just a normal bench press, except your legs lie flat on the bench rather than having your feet planted on the floor. I'll usually grab another bench or a box that I can set my feet on so they aren't left hanging, and that helps me keep my...
Letting it rest on his chest and then pressing back up, and again, for lifting the most weight as possible, that's great, but a loaded stretch is very hypertrophic, and he's letting the bar rest where he could be pausing just above his chest, where I'd say there'd be a great amount of tension, a great signal for muscle growth. A hypertrophy trainee, it's more ideal than training like a power lifter and just letting it rest on your chest and trying to produce as much explosive force as possible. Using a Larsen press after, because it's going to give, for less load, the same or a better stimulus for his chest, just purely on the grounds of being a hypertrophy trainee. I think if you were training purely for that and not for strength, you would put a Larsen press there and not a barbell press. The leg drive, the way he's executing the barbell press normally, I wouldn't say that's ideal, especially from a stimulus to fatigue standpoint. I would rather he either perform the bench press differently, choose a different exercise, or do the Larsen press as his first exercise.
Sets of 8 to 10 reps on the standing dumbbell Arnold press. For the most part, I think any optimized push day should have both a horizontal press to target the pecs more and a vertical press to target the shoulders more. Of course, if you're really pressed on time working, and I still want to get a good shoulder pump, but I'm also much more...
I feel like I'm repeating myself here, but he's using a belt for a shoulder press where he could, just purely on the basis of hypertrophy, he could be pressing from a more stable position, because he could be using a bench, he could be using a machine, he could be using something where he can produce the most force without having to stabilize so much.
At first, but once they play around with it for a few weeks, it tends to really click. I think of it like a combination between a cable fly and a cable press, except you're doing one arm at a time. And the key thing is that you're pressing around your body past the midline to get the most end range contraction.
Nothing much to say here. The press around's a great exercise. Doing something that focuses on the shortened position after doing a lengthened position exercise is a smart idea. Probably, like, due to the principle of variation, it's likely that you'll get as much, if not more, growth from a wide variety of exercises. It's a complicated situation with stretching. Before your exercise, you'd want to focus on dynamic stretching. Static stretching is fine. I mean, it's not ideal because obviously you want to keep the elevation effects of doing the warm-up in the first place, and doing will counteract that. If you're doing it for less than 45 seconds, especially on that lower end, like less than 30 seconds, it probably won't do anything. Like, it's not going to reduce your strength drastically.
Y raise. Now, I first saw this movement in a training vlog from one of the natural bodybuilding goats, Alberto.
Great exercise. Obviously, you want a lateral raise variant in some sort of push day, if obviously you've put your lateral delt in that push day. Which is better than, in my opinion, a dumbbell press where there's no tension in the most hypertrophic area of the rep range. Of my own personal weaknesses, raise before you put a press because the interference isn't going to be high. But if you're someone with stronger shoulders, you're probably not going to benefit that greatly from putting it at the start over putting it after that press. But if you're someone with weaker shoulders, you will grow better if you put something at the start of a workout instead of nearer towards the end. You'll still grow fine. It's just, if it's a glaring weakness, I would put it before.
Of 8 reps on the squeeze only tricep press down, supersetted with 3 sets of 8 reps on the stretch only overhead tricep extension. And we'll be hitting both of these exercises as a superset, so doing them back to back without resting in between. So basically we're doing partial half reps on both of these exercises, except on the press downs, we're only doing the second half of the range of motion, so hitting the squeeze part only. And on the overhead tricep extension, we're only doing the first half of the range of motion, so hitting the stretch part only. Now I want to give credit to Hypertrophy Coach for this combo. I first saw these on his Instagram, so I tried it out for myself. And
the superset is amazing. I've tried it because I did see it on Hypertrophy Coach's TikTok or Instagram or something. Saw a video of his somewhere, gave it a try. It works beautifully. Especially if you're sticking to the ranges where it's hardest for both of those exercises, it really does give you such a great stimulus. And you could argue that you'd want a crossbody extension first, but it's such a minute point. Do those exercises, do a crossbody extension, do an overhead extension if you want, and then do a press down. I think they're all fine. They work perfectly well. Yeah, overall, it's a good push day. It's a decent push day. I would personally think that a more accurate title would be strength and size, because putting a barbell press in a heavy rep range with a powerlifter technique is far more based around strength than it is purely hypertrophy training. Very good exercise selection, good rep ranges. They're pretty much designed perfectly fine. Switch around the order maybe based on your own strengths and weaknesses. That's pretty much it. Like, comment, subscribe, do all the fun stuff, and I will see you later.